Hello everyone, this is Poohead189, and today we're going to be talking about a very popular piece of Star Wars lore that is greatly expanded in the extended universe, otherwise known as Legends, but still plays a small part in explicit canon. That is the Sith technique known as Sith Alchemy. Now, as we all know, the dark side of the Force is tainted in many ways, and can perform feats and create phenomena that is strange, abnormal, and forsaken. One of the biggest classes of dark side abilities is called Sith sorcery, which is using the dark side to perform rituals, rites, and spells, for lack of a better term, that can only be described as a corruption of the Force. Sith sorcery was first created by the Sith species thousands upon thousands of years ago. Now, the Sith species itself practiced Sith sorcery, which was a skill fueled by negative emotions in the dark side, and they practiced it across their whole civilization. It's quite possible the corruption of practicing it turned their world into a desert planet devoid of all but a few collections of water, and the animals became dangerous and rabid. Of course, it was so long ago it's hard to say for certain if Sith sorcery was fully to blame for what happened to Korriban, but its practice is the reason one feels the dark side like a permeating miasma if you set foot on the planet. However, Sith sorcery, while an overarching technique of the dark side, has a sub-technique called Sith Alchemy. This is, in essence, sort of Sith sorcery, but it is an art of using the Sith sorcery to alter the physical world, create powerful potions, and create monsters and chimeras to use for war and terror. So while sorcery is more spell-like, alchemy is more grounded. It is a more permanent version of Sith sorcery that affects and corrupts the material world, changing it into how the sorcerer or Dark Lord sees fit. So I guess I would say that if Korriban was changed by Sith sorcery, that was simply an after effect of them using it so much, whereas Sith Alchemy would change Korriban as its primary goal. So essentially, sorcery can corrupt if used too much, whereas alchemy actively shapes something physically. Okay, Sith Alchemy alters the makeup of a subject, either chemical or genetic, to suit the wielder. Some say the Rancor was originally created from such a process by the people called the Jedi, the predecessors of modern-day Force users, who used both the dark and light side interchangeably. We do know they created winged Rancors, a slightly smaller, flying version of the monstrous beasts to ride into battle. Now, there is a work written by Darth Sidious, or the Emperor, called the Dark Side Compendium. It's supposed to be a seminal work on the dark side of the Force, as well as the acquisition of power. It is divided into 3 parts, and to showcase just how important Sith Alchemy is, the practice takes up fully 1/3 of the book. It is titled The Creation of Monsters. Unfortunately, we do not have the text itself to read. Apparently, a lot of its ideas were originally included in a work entitled The Manipulation of Life, part of Palpatine's early Sith manifesto he penned, called Absolute Power. Out of the 3 works, being the Book of Anger and the Weakness of Inferiors, and the aforementioned Creation of Monsters, it seems the Creation of Monsters part was chronologically the 3rd work, since it was the only one unfinished during the Battle of Yavin. Beyond this, one of the few times we see Sith Alchemy in action is in Season 6, Episode 13 of the 2008 Clone Wars cartoon. In the episode, Darth Sidious and Count Dooku, also known as Darth Tyrannus, perform what is evidently Sith Alchemy to cause Yoda to hallucinate on planet Moraband. Now, this seems more like a more general usage of Sith sorcery rather than alchemy, considering nothing concrete is manipulated or made. However, we cannot ignore it being called Sith Alchemy in the episode, and almost as if it is a poultice, they use Count Dooku's blood to help in the ritual, so it appears to be straddling the lines between sorcery and alchemy. It's hard to say. Furthermore, other than the winged Rancors, there are many, many beasts created by Sith Alchemy, almost too many to list, really. However, I can say they are broadly referred to as Sith spawn. One I can name are battle hydras, a ferocious dual-headed reptilian creature. They aren't entirely large, about 12 to 15 feet long with a comparable wingspan. It has a long, leathery tail that can whip opponents, and the tail's end is armed with a venomous stinger. They have immense claws and dagger-like teeth. It's said in the ritual that first created them, 4,000 years ago, it took the sacrifice of over 10,000 avian creatures and combining and twisting their innards along with sorcery to alchemically birth them. In the extended universe, a few of Jedi Master Luke's students have even found a 3-headed variety, and supposedly it had no forelegs. The beasts are solitary, only attacking in groups when under the command of a powerful or forceful Sith. Unfortunately, beyond that, we don't know too much about Sith Alchemy, but it is a really cool bit of lore in my opinion. However, that does seem to be all that we have today about the subject. Hope you enjoyed it. I am going to make more Elder Scrolls videos soon, definitely more Lord of the Rings videos, and of course more Star Wars videos, and most importantly of all, Warhammer Fantasy videos. Your likes and subscriptions are always appreciated, and your comments are super welcome. Please share with your friends, and I appreciate all of you. Alright guys, see ya!